Me 28F with my BF 30M, duration 1.5 years. My BFF, female 28, came out as homosexual, and my BF is furious with me. I'm going to keep this short. I have been best friends with Nina for 12 years now. We became especially close about 10 years ago when she confided in me that she was gay and depressed. She comes from a conservative Christian family. She was dealing with a lot of personality conflict and was suicidal even for a while. I became her support and cheerleader and encouraged her to get therapy. I went with her to queer support groups, and while her mental health improved, she decided to stay in the closet. She dated a few girls through the years, disguised as close friends and roommates. I was the only one who knew about her relationships. Now, like many female BFFs, we spend a lot of time together and know an unhealthy amount of info about each other's private and personal life. She has also supported me through my difficult times and is truly my sister in spirit. I have been dating my BF for a bit over a year now, and things are getting serious. We are at the point of discussing future plans like moving in together and timeline for marriage, etc. We have a good relationship overall. Now, 2 weeks ago, on her birthday, Nina finally came out, first to her family and then on Facebook to everyone. A lot of her family has abandoned her over it, so I invited her to spend Thanksgiving with us. I'm Canadian. We had our own small dinner with just some close friends on Saturday. At dinner, Nina gave an emotional speech and thanked us for loving her as she is, and then thanked me especially for saving her life, her words, and supporting her all these years. Well, after everyone left, I could see my BF looked irate. I asked him what was wrong, and he suddenly kind of exploded like, "You knew all she was gay?" I was like, "Yeah." And I thought he was upset. I never shared it with him and started explaining that it was not my secret to share. He goes on to explain he feels betrayed that I had a close friend who would be sexually interested in me. He went on about all the times I spent the night at her house, even sleeping in the same bed with her, and concluded that I have basically been cheating on him this whole time. I was baffled and mad and answered probably louder than I should have that he was insane, and she is my best friend and basically my sister, and what he was accusing me of was sick, and he needs to either apologize or GTFO of my apartment. Well, he did, and later texted me to uninvite me to his family's dinner, which was on Monday. He said if he was this close to a girl, I'd be mad too. I think his comparison is insane. Anyways, it's been almost a week, and neither of us thinks we should apologize. What do you think? What would you do? I'm tired of living like this. Even a breakup would be less frustrating at this point. He claims I disrespected our relationship, and I think he is way out of line. Who is wrong here? Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "Yeah, let this be a breakup. Your boyfriend is acting like a jerk and an infant. Of course, you don't out someone else, and you two are nearly in your 30s. You should both have no difficulty at this point having platonic friendships with people who may also be, generally speaking, sexually attracted to people of your gender. I could give him a bit of a pass on some initial shock, but that is now over. It's been a week. If he is sticking to his guns on feeling betrayed and believing your friendship was inappropriate, he is lacking in some fundamental trust and respect for you." Then OP replied, "Of course you don't out someone else. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear it from someone else. It's such a personal secret, it never even occurred to me to share it with any of my partners, with anyone really." Now for the 4-day update. Hello all. Wow, my post exploded. I did not see that coming. Sorry it's been a while. The day after I posted my original story, my dad suffered an accident at work, which led to him being hospitalized. He is okay now, resting at home and has not suffered any long-term injuries. I did eventually read all the comments. Thank you for all the love and support and advice. To the queer folks who thanked me for keeping my friend's secret, I did what any person should do. I hope each and every one of you find great friends and a strong support system. To people defending him being upset, I just hope no one ever trusts you with their secret. Third party's secret has nothing to do with your relationship. Don't share other people's stuff for the sake of fummeling, the sake of honesty in relationship. WTF? Also, here is my response to a few common questions. No, I still do not agree my situation was the same as him having a super intimate straight female friend. I am straight. I have been close with Nina for over a decade. Not once have we had an awkward or romantic moment. The closest example would be him having a gay male friend. Also, I know I am going to be crucified for saying this, but male and female friendship with the same gender are different. Males and females bond differently with their own gender. Not always, of course, but generally, female besties are closer than male besties in the sense of physical boundaries. I can understand his disappointment. I was ready to comfort and assure him that me not sharing Nina's secret was not due to lack of my trust in him. But in no way do I feel like I betrayed him or prioritized Nina over him. I always spent a healthy amount of time with him. We both agreed we want a little independence in our relationship. It was one of the things that made us a better couple. During my time in the hospital, my BF came around once asking about my dad and asked to put our fight on pause. I agreed initially, but then a few days ago, he came around again and we got lunch. And as we were talking, he said something like, "When you are feeling better and are ready to discuss and apologize, we should talk." And that just set me off, but I stayed calm and said that I apologize for yelling and nothing more. I refused to apologize for keeping a secret, and I am expecting his apology for accusing me of cheating. Long story short, I broke up with him. He has been sending me texts ranging from "let's stay friends" to "he never wants to see me again" to mild anger and today a "let's talk again." I'm done. IDK if this is healthy, but I am already over it. Nina is truly my sister in spirit and has been in my life for much longer. We are going to Cuba with a few other friends for winter holidays. Thanks again for your support. Maybe I'll meet someone. I know there are plenty of men out there without a pornographic view on homosexuals and with a better understanding of female friendship. Then a few commenters shared their thoughts. One commenter said, "I'm a dude. My best friend is gay. I'm 100% straight. I've shared beds and tents with him. My wife gives zero fricks. Don't listen to the insecure trolls and enjoy the single life." Then OP replied, "Good for you. It's about time men get close and comfy with their best friends without judgment from trolls." Another commenter added, "Yay." I wish I could have seen his face when you calmly held the rage boiling up and said, "I did nothing wrong. I won't apologize." Here's the script. Sweet, sweet justice. Have a great friendship with your spirit sister. Now for a comment from the original poster. Gotta say I am proud. I regret losing my cool first time around, and I was ready to apologize for it too. Am I the idiot for not siding with my wife when a Swedish birthday song offended her? I and my wife already have 3 kids, but a few months back we felt like we could use a breath of fresh air, so we signed up to take a foreign exchange student for a year. We got a 16-year-old Swedish girl that I will call Sarah, and that has worked very well. She's very open and honest and loves to share how things are in Sweden and how different things are here in the US. It was her birthday just a few days ago, so we gathered around the laptop while she was FaceTiming her family. They started singing in Swedish, but the song was particularly longer and more repetitive. After the call, I asked her about it, and she explained that some families in Sweden sing a song where they talk about shooting, hanging, and drowning the birthday person after they turn 100. My wife overheard this and started to get annoyed because, in her words, it was inappropriate and extremely disrespectful to her household when she sang that without her knowing. My wife isn't naturally sensitive to bad language or words, but when she was born, she had a 60-year-old dad that died when he was 96. So she is more conscious about how elderly people can feel just before they are about to die. And she felt like the song was making fun of people when they are old and sick. Me and the twins were embarrassed while standing there. So I asked her to calm down and that it's just a Swedish joke song that isn't even meant in that way. But she just started ranting about how it was her house too, and she shouldn't be afflicted to such derogatory language behind her back. Sarah obviously felt bad and tried to apologize, saying she didn't mean to be disrespectful and that it was just her family singing the song. But my wife just stormed out and yelled how she couldn't believe we had taken in a girl from such a cruel family. I tried to talk to her in our room right after. I assured Sarah that she didn't do anything wrong and to just pay no mind. My wife was apparently more upset at me for not supporting and agreeing with her and started to cry about how I knew what she had gone through concerning her father, but didn't back her up. The house has been extremely tense, especially when all of us are in the same room. But I really don't understand how a Swedish song could make her so upset. But I'm wondering if I should have taken my wife's side and been more sympathetic. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "Your wife is still upset that a 97-year-old died? I mean, it was her father. But come on, the poor Swedish kid didn't do it behind your wife's back anyway. Was your wife jealous that the girl was getting attention on her birthday? Because this certainly got the attention back on wife." I replied, "Yes, I don't believe Sarah did anything wrong as well. And I'm also a bit mad at my wife, but it was more of how her father was suffering and that he himself said that he didn't want to keep living. I think then that when my wife heard the meaning of the song, she interpreted it differently and it triggered an emotion for her." Another commenter asked, "Growing up, she had a 60-year-old dad that died when he was 96. What am I reading?" I clarified, her dad was 60 when she was born. Someone else asked, "Sorry, I totally got distracted when you said her dad was 60 years old when she was born. How old was her mom?" I answered, "I think her mom was around 28 or something." Yeah, big age gap. When another commenter suggested, "Is it possible that she could feel threatened by this girl in the house? Does she feel like you're attracted to her?" I responded, "She's 16 and living under my house, so no, I don't think my wife feels threatened." Then another commenter shared a joke explanation. Here's the joke. First verse. "May she live for 100 years. Of course she'll live for 100 years. Second verse. When she has lived for 100 years, then she will be pushed. The Swedish word for push is the same as shoot, on a wheelbarrow. Third verse. When she has been pushed, shot on a wheelbarrow, then she will be hung upon a horse. Fourth verse. When she's been hung upon a horse, she will be drowned. Same as the word for drenched in a lake of champagne. It is incredibly harmless and only becomes morbid once the person reaches their 80s, when the first verse becomes, in effect, if not in fact, may she live for another 20 years at least." Now for the update. I have read all of the comments. I was even up late at night to read them all, and I'm very thankful that so many people gave their input on my situation. I first talked to my wife this morning and showed her some of the comments after last night. At first, she was pissed I wrote out our personal information, but I explained that I didn't write anything that could trace back to us, and she calmed down. I first want to mention that no, my wife is not jealous of Sarah in that way, and I'm not attracted to Sarah, since some comments said that. And also, my wife is not psychotic or narcissistic. I agree it was a horrible way to treat a guest, and we have already talked to our organization, and they are currently looking for a new host family for Sarah. My wife is still upset, but is starting to feel incredibly guilty and has apologized. But I understand that no amount of sorry will make Sarah feel safe again. Tensions are still high, but I showed Sarah some of the comments, and she finds it hilarious and comforting. And I again assured Sarah that she didn't do anything wrong, and dark children's songs are in every culture and don't harm anyone. And to answer some other questions, no, my wife doesn't usually do this, and she was starting to panic when I talked to her about what she actually said and how Sarah probably feels being trapped in our house in a foreign country. I also showed her the true meaning of the song by one of the comments, which caused her to almost have a panic attack that I needed to guide her through. We will investigate this further, since I know some of you had theories about how it could be menopause, so we will look into that. Again, thank you for the advice on how to face this. But I want to mention that a lot of people assumed a lot of horrible things about my wife, and I wanted to clear that up. Then a commenter said, "So you showed Sarah the comments. She found it hilarious, and now you and she have a little in-joke at your wife's expense. Sure, your wife had an inappropriate reaction to the song, but you've talked it out and she apologized. You're working on finding a better situation for Sarah. Why go behind your wife's back? maybe you really are attracted to her. I replied, no, I showed her the comments talking about Swedish culture and the ones that were nice to her. I didn't talk badly to her behind my wife. I only explained that she didn't do anything wrong. Disgusting assumption. Am I the idiot for reporting my sister-in-law to CPS after she kicked her kids out and ignoring families' pleas to keep quiet? Hey everyone, my husband, 34, and I, 36, are in a tough situation with my sister-in-law, Barbara, 41, and we need an outside perspective on whether we're overreacting or if our stance is justified. We're leaning toward the latter, but are open to thoughts. Barbara has 4 boys, Luke 17, Owen 14, Ryan 13, and Calvin. Despite her having a rough history with bad relationships, her kids have always been well behaved. The only constant man in her life has been Reese, 48, her on and off husband, who does nothing for her or the kids except work. He blows his money gambling, cheats on her openly, and relies on her for everything else. For 7 years, she's come to us, venting about him, swearing it's the last time, but always goes back. In 2020, after yet another huge fight, the entire family intervened. We sat her down, told her we were here to help with anything she needed. Lawyers, a safe place for her and the kids, even handling the legal stuff if necessary. She agreed to kick him out, but within 6 months he was back because he couldn't find a place to stay. This grown man, who has worked a steady job for 20 years, somehow needed help. Since then, things have gotten progressively worse. Barbara decided to stick with marriage counseling, even though the whole family urged her to leave. She's clung to the idea of honoring her marriage, despite the toxic environment. As a result, her kids have started to suffer. The eldest, Luke, started skipping school and smoking heavily. A few months ago, my husband got a 2 a.m. call from Luke, who said he was suicidal and afraid to act on it. When we got to their house, we learned he had told his stepdad the same thing, and Reese told him to just do it because no one would care. My husband, understandably, punched him in the face. We took Luke to the hospital, and after his release, brought him home with us for 3 weeks to help him recover. Eventually, Luke returned to his mom's house, thinking things had smoothed over, but they quickly fell apart again. Soon enough, the second oldest, Owen, began having issues too. For months, they'd been fighting constantly, and we didn't realize how bad it had gotten until we couldn't get in touch with either of them. Barbara had gone silent. My husband showed up at her house unannounced, something our family often does for fun, only to find out that she had washed her hands of Luke and Owen for being disrespectful and kicked them out. She had even turned off their phones and didn't know where they were staying. We found out they'd been crashing with friends for weeks, trying to stay under the radar because they were embarrassed. We picked them up from school and brought them home with us again. They told us that their mom and stepdad had been bullying them, constantly fighting, and that they didn't feel safe going back. Barbara admitted that she put them out, but insisted things weren't as bad as they made it sound. Now, my husband and I want to go full nuclear. Report this to CPS, the police, and anyone who can intervene. But the rest of the family wants to handle it internally. We feel like 2 minors were abandoned, and that deserves an extreme response. But the family is now saying we're overreacting, and at the end of the day, these are not our children. So are we the jerks for wanting to report this situation and not leave it to family discussions? The 2 oldest boys are with us for now, but we're ready to escalate this. Now for a quick update, we called the police. Thank you all for the support. Now for a few important comments. One commenter said, "You don't handle crimes internally, like how churches and colleges protect rapists and police precincts protect dirty cops and families protect child abusers. This is child abuse. Report her." Another commenter added, "You know what kind of families handle things internally? The Duggars, protecting the indefensible. If you don't report them, you are allowing neglectful and hurtful parents to get away with mistreating children right under your nose. And they will just keep on doing it. Do the right thing and protect those children." Now for the 2-week update. It's been nearly 2 weeks since I made my original post, and it's been a wild ride. I have to be incredibly vague because of the newly opened case, but here's the most important thing. All of our nephews are safe with us. The boys have always had a place here and have visited often since they were tiny, long before any of this chaos started. So while the transition has been emotionally jarring for them, the move itself was thankfully smooth. Now, as for Barbara and Reese, they're facing charges regarding their treatment of the boys. It was worse than we originally thought. Barbara seems remorseful, but my husband is still livid. He believes she's only feeling sorry now that everything's out in the open and consequences are on the table. Whether her remorse is genuine or not, I'm just relieved we took action when we did, because it's terrifying to think how much worse things could have gotten if we hadn't. Family-wise, everything is a mess. The entire family is split over this, and it's not even worth the text to go over the thoughts of those who oppose us. Those who have sided with us, however, have been a tremendous help. Even though there are a lot of family issues and the logistics are complicated, frick it, we made the right decision. What I can share in more detail is that soon after I posted, Reese showed up at our house, demanding that the boys return home with him. They refused. I told him to leave, but he escalated things, got loud, aggressive, and started cursing at me and the boys. My husband wasn't home at the time. He was out picking up clothes and toiletries for Luke and Owen. I can only assume Reese felt emboldened by my husband's absence, because out of nowhere, he sucker punched me right in the mouth. And Reddit, I'm not ashamed to admit, I saw red. I swung back. It wasn't smart, but I did. He wasn't expecting that. I'm nice and really easygoing, but I guess I forgot that. I jumped on him, and let's just say he didn't expect a fight. I might not have landed the best hits, but he wasn't prepared for one at all. He scrambled out of there and sped off. I immediately called 911 while the boys called my husband, who thankfully was just around the corner. I'm fine. Just ended up with a busted lip that looked worse than it was, though my husband insisted I go to urgent care. The police met us there, and that's when we reported everything. Reese's attack and the whole situation with the boys. Reese and Barbara were picked up the next day. And in the middle of all this shoot, I found out I'm pregnant. Yup. While I was at urgent care, they ran a routine test and boom, positive. I had no idea, no symptoms or anything, but it's still super early. All things aside, thank you for all of the comments, advice, and ideas. Your support made a difference, and my nephews are safe.